Hey there everyone, this is Mystic Fish and welcome to episode 12 of our Factorio series where we are designing an expandable base. Last episode we did the designs for this part of the base, laying out the nuclear reactors and heat exchangers and steam turbines and so on. And so for the next couple episodes I want to work on continuing to think about our nuclear power infrastructure. And so today I want to work on this part here, which is the train loading and unloading for uranium. Okay, in order to do this, I have put together well, actually, let's redo this. I'm going to put together a factory plan called nuclear fuel processing. Okay, so when we were designing our nuclear power plant, we have a bunch of reactors. Reactors are 5 tiles wide. We identified that we would maybe only go 2 grid segments over. So since a grid segment is 100 tiles wide, that means that we could have up to a row of 40 reactors. And we might have 2 rows of them. And I think we won't end up with that much, but I think we should design our throughput assuming that we have that many reactors. And so that could be 80 reactors. Now, a reactor will consume a fuel cell every 200 seconds. And so if we want to see how many fuel cells per minute that is, we multiply by 60. And that tells us we need to be able to produce 24 fuel cells per minute. So let's get a factory plan in here for that, for 24 fuel cells per minute. Let's go ahead and get some of these things in here. I really just want to look at the uranium processing bits. So let's assume that we're going to run things off of Kovarex to get our shiny rocks. And then let's assume that we're going to just mine ore to get our dull rocks. Which is 238 or 235 and 238 respectively. I will just say I never remember which one is uranium 235 and which one's uranium 238. So I just call them shiny rocks and dull rocks, and which I think I first heard that from JD Plays maybe, and described them that way, and seems to make a lot of sense for me. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this, and I just want to kind of see how much stuff is necessary here. So let's assume our Kovarex is going to run with some productivity modules, and let's take a look at adding some basic speed modules here, like this. And let's see, what if we make this 8 beacons? Okay, that gets us down to 1 centrifuge and only tier 1 modules. And so 1 centrifuge doing Kovarex produces enough uranium fuel cells to power 80 reactors. So we will, I think, never need more than 1 centrifuge doing Kovarex, which is really pretty wild. We'll have, it looks like we need at least 11 centrifuges just to get enough dull rocks for that. That should be, and I wonder if what's the effect of putting productivity modules in here? I don't know that that's worth it. Cancel. Remove these. I want to remove you. How do I remove you? Like this? Oh, I right click on that thing. Okay. All right, that doesn't seem worth putting things together. So, and then the last thing that we need to look at is how do we get this much uranium ore? So if we look at the uranium ore mining, that means we need some sulfuric acid, and but really not very much of it. Let's assume we're going to get advanced oil processing, and we need, oh, these are the byproducts. What are we going to do with this? We need some way to get rid of that. We don't really have a way to do. Oh, we'll do matrix on this. Aha. That's good. Okay. So some of it will come from some shiny rocks will come from the uranium processing. We'll still find some there, but most will come from the Kovarex. If we get rid of our oil byproducts, that tells us what we're going to have here. And so, this is I think really what's going to look like once we get to Kovarex. So now, another question is, are we going to need initially? We have an option, right? Because initially we could just do the ore processing here, and we can get some shiny rocks, and we can save some of them to spin up Kovarex, and we can use the rest for powering nuclear power. I do think, because it really drastically reduces, getting Kovarex in here drastically reduces how much other processing that we have to do. So I think if we can, it would be nice if we could say all of the shiny rocks that we get from here are just going to go into Kovarex, and then the Kovarex is going to be the source of the shiny rocks that we're going to use for the uranium fuel sources eventually. So I think that's what we want. I think that's how we want to design it. In order to pull that off, we need to make sure that we can run the main base off of non-nuclear power long enough to get Kovarex stood up, right? And Kovarex is a purple technology. And so let's make one more factory plan, which is, let's say, main base 30 science per minute. So let's assume that, we've talked about having a jumpstart base. We haven't designed that yet, but the jumpstart base is not going to take us all the way to launching a rocket. It's just probably going to have these 4 sciences in it. I find 30 science per minute is plenty fast in terms of moving through the research, and it allows us to move through the research pretty quickly. We don't have to spend a lot of time. It's not as resource intensive, and so I find this is a good balance. Like this is fast enough that it'll be, if we go any faster, A, it takes longer to suck it up, and then B, I find like I'm hard to keep up with, use all the research that we're doing. So I like to shoot for this. This is a nice, comfortable pace, I find. But the main base is also going to want, I think, to do some purple science so that we can get Kovarex in this case. And I think we want to be able to do some yellow science so that we can get the logistics system researched, because there's a lot of material that goes into the uranium processing that is pretty low volume. For example, making nuclear fuel, or even the iron that we need for the sulfuric acid, or things of that sort. So, right, if we come up here, the amount of iron that we get in here is only 32 items per minute, which is just really, that's 8 logistics bots trips per minute. If they're fully upgraded to a cargo size of 4. So that will make the layouts, that much easier to reason about. Whoops, I still need my factory plan here. Okay, so I'm going to turn the matrix mode on here. What that lets me do is I don't have to really worry about the order in which I click stuff, because it will deduplicate things as we go. So I can just add all of these recipes. Let's get everything that's not sort of a raw ore in here. Okay, we're going to do lubricant. We're going to do heavy oil from advanced oil processing, I guess. We do need the matrix to do the oil processing calculations correctly. We're going to need sulfuric acid. And then we need to get rid of our byproducts by cracking them, like so. And then I do want to include... I want to include the electric miners that we need to acquire the ore, because they're fairly electricity hungry. And so if we look down here, This adds up to 42 megawatts. I do think that what we want is the initial power plant that's going to run off of coal and maybe solid fuel eventually. I think we can run a single yellow belt for that. And so that would be 15 items per second. And a piece of coal has 4 megajoules. And so that is 4 megajoules per every 15 seconds. So that is 60 megawatts. So this level of research fits within the power envelope of our initial power plant. And so that means that we can rely on having Kovarex and having the logistics network before we have to do any actually need to rely on nuclear power being stood up. So that was why we wanted to do that. And so then here, this is less than half a belt of uranium ore. I do think that initially, just so we can get the Kovarex kick-started, let's take a look at basic uranium processing. Let's get one of these. Let's say we're going to produce. Let's say we're going to do shiny rocks. I'm just going to make up a number here, and we're going to produce those with uranium processing. This is way too much. Okay, so now I can right-click on this, and I'm going to say, what if we just had one yellow belt worth of this? This is going to produce 0.63 shiny rocks per minute. And so if we have a shot, let's say, I think we want, the Kovarex recipe takes 40 shiny rocks. I think we actually need to get to 60 to 80 before we start kicking them off. So let's say if we need 80 shiny rocks and we divide by 0.63, then that's going to take 2 hours. That's going to take 2 hours to get us enough shiny rocks, which, maybe it's okay, but I feel like we should cut this down, and we should assume that we're actually going to look at 3 yellow belts worth of stuff here, and then that will cut it down to 45 minutes or something to assemble enough ore for enough shiny rocks to kick off the Kovarex as a conservative estimate. Okay, so that means we can design for 3 yellow belts of ore. All right. That was all the figuring that we needed to do so that we can do these stations. Okay, so let's see. What do we want here? Let's do a loading station first. This is the one for iron. It doesn't really matter which one we use. But this will be out at the uranium outpost. Now, we just said that we don't need more than 3 yellow belts. So I think we can get rid of this balancer. And let's see. Let's get rid of this. And then we can get rid of these. I think we get rid of all of this. And we will not need... I think what we want, if we want 3 yellow belts, I think... And the reason I picked 3 and not 4 is that for uranium processing, we're going to have to bring sulfuric acid out here from the main base. And so I think this is, that means we want to do things this way. We'll get 3 yellow belts in. Okay, those all look good. We probably need to cut this. Maybe we'll put it in this direction so it fits in a little better. And then we need this wire going from the output of here to these first set of inserters. And then now we only have 18 chests instead of 48. So we need to adjust the average there. Okay, now we need some Do we have a 3-3 balancer in the yellow balancers? We do not. Okay, so 3-3 throughput unlimited. I think this is what we want. Okay, but we got to get this thing downgraded. So the easiest way to do that is, let's grab a roboport, stick it here. Let's get some yellow belt stuff. I accidentally clicked on the red belt there. Let's get a storage chest. Let's get some construction bots. Put the bots in there, give the bots some belt stuff. And now we can right drag to downgrade to red and then to yellow. And then the bots will do that for us. Okay, good stuff. So now we can get rid of some of these extra belts. That means we can take this and put it there. And now the belt weaving gets actually quite easy here because we just do this. Okay, those are the belts in. Then we are going to need to unload sulfuric acid from the train. Maybe into here like this, right? That lines up with the train. And then we will pump it out of here. And I guess we can, that's the edge of the cell, so that's okay. Let's get a power there. Let's get rid of these guys because they are extra. And I think we can get away with a 1-4 train here. So 3 belts of uranium ore and then 1 car for fluid wagons. We have some, and then this is going to be changed. So this is going to be, nope, this is going to be uranium ore. And I think what I want to do here, I think having 2 uranium trains is plenty. What that means is, I guess we can build one up there, and I think that means we can get rid of many of these stackers. So we can get rid of all of this stuff. Come on, I got an extra guy here. There we go. We don't need these. And then let's get rid of train stuff. So that's an extra. Okay, so we can actually build this guy out here somewhere. Here. Sure. And then we can get our 3 cargo wagons and a fluid wagon. And then we can build the second one here, ready to go in the stacker. Okay, let's get some coal for initial fuel. Coal. Let's get a couple stacks. Let's put 1 stack in there, 1 stack in there. And then we need to set a schedule. So what is this going to look like? Let's see, we're going to need another station. This will be the one that's back at the base. And let's just assume that this one is going to be called uranium ore into chests. I think that's our naming convention that we used. That can also have a train limit of 2, so we'll just have 2 uranium trains, and so they'll just keep shuttling back and forth, and we'll have spaces for them to park both sides. Okay, good. So now this guy's schedule is going to look, this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to come here, and I need to stay here until one of 2 things is true. Either I'm full of uranium ore, which in this case, a cargo wagon has 40 slots. So that is 40 slots times 50 ore per slot times 3 train cars is 6,000. Okay, so if I get full of uranium, let's see, and if I get full of uranium, or I run out of sulfuric acid, and I'm gonna not quite do 0 because there are some rounding errors, I think, with the fluid arithmetic, so this is like mostly empty. So if one of these two things is true, then I need to go back to the main base. And then when I'm at the main base, there's corresponding conditions, which is I need to wait there until I've unloaded all the ore, and I've got, let's see, there is, because it's a 1-to-1 ratio of sulfuric acid to ore, we really only need to bring 6,000 fluid sulfuric acid out to the outpost in order to mine enough uranium to fill the train. I do think eventually we want to get a little more. So let's say that we need to get at least, let's wait for 8,000. That's a third of a fluid tank. But we want both of these things to be true. So if you've brought on your uranium, you have unloaded it, and you've gotten enough sulfuric acid that you can go back out to the outpost and fill your train with ore. And over time we'll build up, this should build up sulfuric acid out here at the outpost. So I think that's what we want here, especially because initially we're just going to immediately unload the sulfuric acid, and then head back to base to get more sulfuric acid. So over time this will build up, and eventually we'll be bringing full trains of uranium back to the base. Okay, so that gets that schedule. My fuel, I have that in there. Okay, I think I can get rid of this. And I can get rid of, oh, let's leave that in there. Okay, let's take this blueprint. Okay, so this will be loading station uranium. And so what's our convention? We do a station, we do L for loading, and then we do uranium ore. We will snap to grid, 100, 100, 2 and 2. Okay, that seems to line everything up here. We do want to include the train stop names. We do want to include the trains and the train fuel. Okay, so we see coal is in there. We've got 2 locomotives, 6 cargo wagons, 2 fluid wagons. So those will show up in there, and good. So this is, we're gonna create this blueprint. Okay, next, can we quickly do the flip side of this, which is, can we do a, what do we want to do here? Why don't we, I'm trying to decide, is it easier to start with one of our unloading stations or start with this and then flip it? I think it's easier to start with an unloading station. Is that true? I don't think that's true. I think we modify this stuff. So we can get rid of these guys because these will be built out at the uranium outpost. Then what we need to do is we need to reverse all these belts. So we need to cut this and flip it like that. That will go up there. We need to reverse these and reverse those. And then this we need to, okay, this is what I want to do is let's go get one of our unloading stations, which is in here, unloading station. Let's grab one of these. We want one of these things. Actually, let's grab the, we want one of the, we're gonna want some of these. So let's get rid of this. Where did I put that thing? 1, 2, 3. Then we need the little combinator guy, right? Copy this. And let's put that here. The green wire has to go from here to these guys. And then these will be minus 18. Incidentally, I think what we figured out with our little production math is that we will never have to upgrade the belts that are carrying uranium. So these will offload like this. Okay, and this we rotate. And then we do need to refuel this stuff. So we kind of need like this. That gets all the fuel stuff in, but I think we said that this is going to become that guy, and the train limit's going to be 2. Now we've got our fuel stuff. And oh, I don't have undergrounds. All right, let's get some undergrounds. These will go out this way. This will come this way. Hop there, and let's see, there are some path things here that we need to hop over, right? Yeah, where's our stone path? That one, and that one maybe. So you'll hop there, and you'll hop there. Okay, and then that loads the sulfuric acid. That's all fine. We've got 2 stackers, that's fine. Or a stacker for 1 parking spot plus 1 train over here. And then the last thing we need to do is we are going to need to produce the sulfuric acid. I do think that I kind of want to double this. This is less than half, this is less than half. So I think if we double the refineries, we can fill up the sulfuric acid pretty quickly. So I think what we want is, let's see if this fits here. So we're going to do a little bit of control logic here, but we need to get a, oh here, you should be this guy. And we're going to get a pump into here. And then we'll get this in from the outside somewhere. And then we will similarly get water in from the outside. We are going to need the water elsewhere in our little processing here, but I kind of just want to make the sulfuric acid for the uranium right here. So we'll send the water that way. Now let's see, I think, will this still fit? I think this will work. Okay, then we can get a second refinery. This will hop to here, and then down, and then continue across. This will hop to here. So this pump will control both of these. Ew, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. But only because of this thing. Okay, but you know what? We can move this to there. And now we can make it fit. Okay, good. All right, then these will continue to here. All right, and then we need to crack this stuff down. So here we have less than half of a chem plant, so that means 1 chem plant will do it for us for each of the types of cracking. So let's see, we need to get heavy oil cracking. So the heavy oil, all the heavy oil will get cracked here. We want the water to come across here. Okay, that cracks that. Then the light oil can come here and be added to by the cracking, so that's good. This will be cracking the light oil. We'll continue this to here. We'll bring the water into that. And then we can have... Here's where we actually want a storage tank. So we need a storage tank in here somewhere. I guess that's fine. All right. And then this is now our petroleum gas. From here, we need to turn that into sulfur, which requires... Actually, I guess we can just slide this right up against it. This requires water. And then from the sulfuric acid, we want to, or now we want to make sulfuric acid. Actually, let's slide that here. And so this will continue to here. That brings the water in for that. We will need sulfur going in there. And now we decided that we were going to have logistics bots here as needed for the uranium processing. So I think what we'll do is we'll just request in. We don't need to request in the sulfur because we're feeding it here. But we can get our iron plates in. This will make our sulfuric acid. And then we can go from here. We can get a pump to pump into there and fill that up. And that should do it. Okay, so we need to power all of this stuff. I guess we can get one there. That doesn't quite reach. There and there. That powers everything. And now we need a control wire. So we're going to look at the amount of petroleum gas we have. We're going to use that to control this pump here. And we're going to say we're only going to process more stuff if our level of petroleum gas in the storage tank is less than 1,000. Good. Do we want to slide this stuff down so that we can make sure that I think this is fine. I think this is fine. Okay, and so the idea is these will be able to run, but once we've got 1,000 petroleum gas in the tank, we'll stop adding new stuff, and this should let us crack all of that. We should be able to consume all of the heavy and light oil we're producing out of these with these two things here. Those will all crack down to petroleum gas, and so I think this will be okay, and we'll run without clogging because these two can keep up with these outputs. And then there's plenty of storage space in here, and we just won't process more if we've got a backlog of petroleum gas. So I think this is the uranium unloading. Okay, so this is unloading station uranium. And so we'll say station, we'll say unloading, and we'll say uranium. These will be snap to grid, 100 and 100, 2 and 2. We will include the train stop names. And I think that will do it. So create that blueprint. And so the question is, where do we put this stuff in here? They're kind of part of the train system. but I kind of feel like I want to put them in with the nuclear power just because they're very specific to the nuclear power. So we'll just we'll put those in here. And so, oh, actually, there's one more thing I want to do. We're going to do this in a minute. So the other thing that I want to do is I just want to label these inputs. And so this is going to be crude oil. And this is going to be water. Okay, now we can do this thing. All right. Select new contents for the blueprint. Let's go. Look at that. Yes. Good stuff. And now we've got our labels on that. The iron that we need is going to get brought in via logistics bots, so that will cover it for us. And I think that should have updated these here. And yes, we now have the constant combinators in here. Okay. So moving forward, those are our uranium loading and unloading. That's what we got for today in this episode. So as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, bye.